So this is a Cartwright distance learning training for parents. So we will be going through a variety of programs and platforms that we're using for distance learning in the Cartwright School District.
So este es para el aprendizaje de distancia de Cartwright y vamos a empezar a enseñarles las diferentes aplicaciones que tenemos.
We do have a couple norms for this presentation. First of all, if you can remain muted during the presentation just to eliminate any background noise. And then if you do have questions, please feel free to use the chat to ask those questions, or we will also be doing a Q&A at the end of the presentation.
Por favor, con las normas virtuales, permanezca en silencio durante la presentación para eliminar el ruido de fondo. Utilice el chat para hacer preguntas. También brindaremos una oportunidad de preguntas y respuestas al final de la reunión.
I think it's important to start off by going through what we are going to cover in this presentation. So we're going to talk about the Cartwright difference, what sets us apart from other potential districts or charter schools. We're going to go through how you utilize a Chromebook device. We'll talk about Google Classroom and the clever single sign-on application that our district uses. We'll then get into parent view, how you can support your child at home, and also how you can get technology support if needed.
Lo que vamos a estar cubriendo es la diferencia de Cartwright, el uso del Chromebook, Google Classroom, Clever, el inicio de sesión único, Parent View, apoyando a su hijo y soporte tecnológico.
So I think it's important as we start off that we talk about the mission behind what we're doing with Cartwright Distance Learning. So our mission here with Cartwright Distance Learning is to provide a virtual classroom environment that gives Cartwright students access to a first-class education and prepares them with life skills to become independent, confident, lifelong learners.
La misión, el aprendizaje a distancia de Cartwright se esfuerza por proporcionar un medio ambiente de aula virtual que brinde a los estudiantes de Cartwright acceso a una educación de primera clase que los prepara con habilidades para la vida, para convertirse en aprendices independientes, seguros y de por vida.
And so our goals to that end is to ensure access to direct instruction from our district's highly qualified educators, provide opportunities for students to interact and collaborate with their peers in addition to the teacher, and of course, allow for effective feedback that keeps students on track with their learning.
Las metas son asegurar el acceso a la instrucción directa de parte de educadores altamente calificados de Cartwright, proporcionar oportunidades para que los estudiantes interactúen y colaboren con sus compañeros, permitir comentarios efectivos que mantengan a los estudiantes al día con su aprendizaje.
So what sets Cartwright apart is the way that we're trying to raise expectations for remote learning. First of all, we have scheduled live classes that include direct instruction from Cartwright educators, and then we also provide recorded instruction for those who cannot attend those live classes.
El aprendizaje a distancia de Cartwright está elevando las expectativas para aprendizaje remoto de estas maneras, con clases en vivo programadas que incluyen instrucción directa de educadores de Cartwright, instrucción grabada para aquellos que no pueden asistir a clases en vivo.
In addition, we ensure multiple breaks throughout the day for our students so that they are not on technology all of the time. And we also ensure weekly parent contact from the student's homeroom teacher so that you can get updates on how your child is doing with distance learning.
Y también hay múltiples descansos durante el día para que los estudiantes descansen de la tecnología y contacto semanal con los padres de parte del maestro o maestra del salón del alumno.
And then finally, we also ensure that instruction comes not only from our core academic classes, such as reading, writing, and math, but also from our special area and elective classes like PE and music.
También la instrucción no solo de clases académicas básicas, sino también de áreas especiales y clases electivas.
Every school in the Cartwright School District has developed a schedule that they use for distance learning. What you see up here on the screen is a sample schedule, and it shows you exactly when students should be online, interacting with their teachers and peers, and when they may be doing work independently. If you haven't received this schedule already, you should be able to go to your school's website or reach out directly to the school's office to get a copy of the schedule.
Este es un horario de muestra. En las escuelas crearán horarios para padres y estudiantes que los permitirán ver cuándo los estudiantes deben estar en línea y participar. Si ha recibido uno, puede recibir uno de su escuela o también está en línea en las escuelas, pero sí está, puede levantarlos en la escuela.
So next up, we want to talk a little bit about the Chromebook device that your child should have received from their school. A Chromebook is essentially a very user-friendly, versatile laptop that runs on the Google Chrome operating system and has some very key features that make it really a great device for student use.
¿Qué es un Chromebook? Un Chromebook es un aparato portátil, versátil y fácil de usar que se opera en el sistema Google Chrome. Estas son algunas características claves que se encuentran en cada Chromebook.
Some of the features of the Chromebook includes that everything lives in the cloud, so all your students' files are stored online for easy access. And the students are required to sign in with their unique username and password to keep that data, that information secure.
Todo vive en la nube. Todas las aplicaciones y los archivos de su estudiante se almacenan en línea para facilitar el acceso. Los estudiantes deben iniciar la sesión con su nombre de usuario y contraseña personal para mantener sus datos seguros.
The Chromebook has a built-in camera and microphone that allows for video conferencing and engaging in those virtual classroom environments. And it's also powerful enough to allow the student to create documents, make videos, and take assessments.
El Chromebook tiene una cámara y un micrófono integrados para videoconferencias y los estudiantes pueden crear documentos, hacer videos y tomar evaluaciones.
So if you aren't very familiar with your child's Chromebook, here's just a brief layout of what it looks like. As you can see, it looks like a simple version of a laptop. It has a trackpad for moving around the cursor on the screen. It has controls at the top for brightness and volume. The power button is located at the top right corner. And of course, there's a camera for video conferencing.
Este es el Chromebook, la inscripción general del Chromebook. Abajo está el cuadrito ese por donde se puede controlar el cursor del Chromebook. Arriba está el brillo y el volumen y el botón donde se puede apagar y prender. Y arriba está la cámara.
If it's the first time having your child, sorry, jumped ahead. If it's the first time having your child log into a device, it's important to understand how their login works. So all Chromebooks will require the child to log in using a unique email address and a password that you can get from your child's school.
Los estudiantes iniciarán su sesión en su Chromebook usando una dirección correo electrónico y contraseña única.
The email address is created by taking your child's first name and combining it with their ID number to create a unique email address that is specific to them.
La dirección de correo electrónico es del primer nombre y luego se pone el número de identificación de cada estudiante.
And then the password is developed based on the student's birthday, formatted as a 2-digit month, a 2-digit day, and a 4-digit year. So for example, if you were born on January 8th, 2007, the password would be 01082007.
En la contraseña es el cumpleaños del alumno en un formato de 2 dígitos del mes, 2 dígitos del día, 4 dígitos del año. Y el ejemplo, si nació el enero 8 de 2007, la contraseña es 0108-2007.
So I just want to quickly take you through the process of logging into a device if it is your first time doing it. When you first turn on a Chromebook, you will see a few different options. One, and the most important one though, is if you're logging in for the first time, is this option at the very bottom to add a person. So that's where you're going to want to start if you're logging in for the first time.
Sí, este es el iniciar de cuando empieza con el Chromebook, inicia la sesión del dispositivo. Y si es la primera vez que está entrando, va a pulsar el botón abajo donde dice Add a Person y ahí es donde va a entrar.
And if you have logged in before, then you'll have a little icon up at the top of the screen with your child's name where you'll log in the future.
Y si ya ha entrado al Chromebook, arriba ya va a tener el nombre del niño y por ahí va a poder entrar.
So if it is your first time logging in, when you click Add a Person, the first thing it's going to ask is for your email address, which is where you'll put your student's username. Again, it's their first name and their ID number. You do not have to add the email ending though, because that is already added for you.
Cuando primero entra al Chromebook y entra con su primer nombre y la numeración de identificación, ya el email al lado ya está puesto por usted. So nomás tiene que poner el primer nombre y el número de identificación.
The next step, of course, will then be to enter the password. So again, it's that 2-digit month, 2-digit day, 2-digit year that you'll enter right in this box for the password.
Y la siguiente página es para la contraseña. Va a ser 2 dígitos para el día y 2 dígitos para el mes y 2 para el día y 4 para el año.
Once you log in to your device, this is the screen that is first going to greet you or your child. And it is always the screen that they will see, whether it's the first time they log in, the 15th, or 30th.
So, esta es la primera página que va a ver cuando entra, aunque sea la primera ya son 10 veces que ha entrado, es la primera página que va a ver.
Down at the bottom, you're going to see some applications that your child will have access to. Over on the left-hand side is the Chrome browser, and over on the right-hand side is the Zoom application if their classroom uses Zoom.
Y abajo están unas aplicaciones. Abajo en el lado izquierdo está el Chrome, el lado derecho está el Zoom para que pueda usar su estudiante.
And then in the far right bottom corner is where you access the settings for the device or you turn it off if necessary.
Y en el lado derecho está el botón donde puede pensar si lo quiere pagar o si necesita subir el brillo o lo que sea con el Chromebook.
In addition to that, you're brought up with 2 browser windows right off the bat that your student will need for distance learning. The first tab on the browser is Clever, which I will talk about in a little bit. And then the second tab on the browser is Google Classroom, which I will also talk about in a little bit. And then I will perform a demo showing you how you access these 2 browser windows.
Las dos aplicaciones que va a ver es Clever. Ahorita va a tener una demostración de esa página y luego también de Google Classroom. Igual ahorita va a demostrar cómo entrar a Google Classroom.
So let's talk a little bit more about those 2 applications. Let's start with Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is the platform that houses Cartwright's distance learning program. It allows teachers to post resources, assignments, text and video messages, quizzes, and any videos of previous instruction.
So, este es una de aplicaciones, es Google Classroom. Es la plataforma que albergará el programa de aprendizaje a distancia de Cartwright. Los maestros usarán Google Classroom para publicar mensajes de texto y video, preguntas de discusión, recursos, asignaciones, cuestionarios y pruebas y videos de instrucción.
So I'm going to show a demo of Google Classroom in a moment, but just to show off, this is what the page looks like for the most part when a child logs in. The first thing they see is their link to video instruction, post by their student or by their teacher to different assignments or activities, as well as reminders about upcoming due dates.
Esta es la página cuando abre. Esta es la experiencia que va a ver los estudiantes. Arriba está el link del clase donde van a entrar para la instrucción. Y luego al lado izquierdo, si hay algo que tienen que entregar, ahí va a decir, y otras cosas de qué va a hablar la maestra.
In addition to that, for those parents who provide an email address, they will receive a weekly update via email from Google Classroom directly telling them about assignments that the student has coming up, assignments that are due soon, or assignments they may have missed.
So, con la experiencia de los padres, con una dirección correo electrónica proporcionada, los padres pueden recibir actualizaciones semanales sobre las tareas de los estudiantes y las fechas de vencimiento, incluyendo cualquier trabajo que no se haya entregado.
And then the other important application that pops up right away when you open up your Chromebook is Clever. And Clever is what we call a single sign-on portal that provides students access to all of the applications they may need for distance learning, including Freckle Math for math, Lexia, Core 5 and Power Up for literacy, and additional applications like Achieve 3000 or Actively Learn.
Clever es un portal de inicio de sesión único de proporcionar a los estudiantes todas las aplicaciones que necesitan para el aprendizaje a distancia. Estas son algunas aplicaciones a las que Clever proporciona acceso a los estudiantes. Es Freckle Math y Lexia Core 5, Lexia Power Up y Achieve 3000 es para niños de la secundaria y Actively Learn.
And again, I'll show a demo of Clever here in just a moment, but essentially this is what Clever looks like when it pops up when a student signs in. It basically gives them access, just like an iPhone or an Android device would, to all these different applications that the student may need to use during their distance learning time. Again, by using Clever, their password and username information is all saved, so it's easy access to these applications.
So, esta es la experiencia de Clever. Al iniciar la sesión en Clever, los estudiantes verán una amplia variedad de aplicaciones en las que pueden acceder directamente desde el portal Clever. Toda la información de inicio de sesión debe guardarse en el Clever.
Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is quickly demo for you what it looks like when you first log into a Chromebook device. So I'm just going to quickly change over to the Chromebook.
Va a ser una demostración de Chromebook.
Okay, so now you are seeing the screen that your child would see upon first logging into their device. And as you can see, I have my two browser tabs that have already been brought up, one with Clever, the other with Google Classroom. I have my applications down here at the bottom. And then I have the little settings down here in the bottom right.
So, este es lo que va a ver en la primera pantalla. Arriba tienen las dos aplicaciones de Clever y Google Classroom. Y abajo están los botones que él dijo de Chrome y Zoom. Y luego al lado derecha está el botón donde puede parar o subir el volumen o lo que necesita hacer.
So we're going to take a quick tour of Google Classroom first, as this is where most students will probably be starting their day in distance learning.
So va a entrar al Google Classroom primero.
And the first thing to notice is that with Google Classroom, as you can see, this child has 2 classes set up for them. We're going to work just in this one, but depending on the age of your child, what grade they are, will determine how many classrooms they may have access to. A younger child in primary elementary grades may only have 1 Google Classroom that they're operating out of, whereas a middle school student who has multiple content areas may have a Google Classroom for every content area.
So, aquí está, si su hijo está de kinder al segundo grado, nomás va a haber un clase ahí, pero si su hijo está en secundaria, ya ves que tienen varias maestras por cada tarea. Si es para matemáticas, ciencia, depende en cuántas clases tiene su hijo, ahí va a mostrar las clases.
So we're going to go ahead and jump into this Google Classroom. And again, kind of like I presented earlier, the first thing you see is we have upcoming due dates for assignments over here on the left. And we have the teacher's Zoom link, how the student gets into direct instruction from the teacher, right here posted up at top.
So, este es lo que está mirando es las tareas que necesita terminar por hoy. Y luego aquí está el link del clase que tiene listo la maestra.
And teachers may also post additional items on this front page, such as a class schedule, videos of instruction, or other information that the students may need, just as announcements.
So, la maestra también podrá a lo mejor poner el horario de lo que van a hacer por hoy. Y también abajo están, si necesita ver un video, ahí pueden ver los videos también.
But in addition to this stream page, we also have the classwork page, which is also very important for the student.
So, aquí también en la página de stream también tienen las tareas que necesitan hacer.
And so in the classwork page, you can see this teacher has put the Zoom link right up at top as another area for them to access the Zoom link when necessary.
So, la maestra puso el Zoom link arriba. Si lo necesita, puede entrar a ese link.
They have also put under a tab called Today's Work, or a topic called Today's Work, all of the items that the child has to work on for that day.
Y abajo de donde dice Today's Work, ese es el trabajo que tienen que hacer por hoy. Y puso todo lo que tienen que hacer por hoy ahí.
And then other items that the teacher may create, other topics with other items include individual content area assignments, all of their attendance assignments the student might need to do, and then also maybe any recordings of previous instruction.
So, aquí puso la asistencia si necesita. Hay un cuestionario de matemáticas. Todo lo que se tiene que hacer por este día, ahí está abajo.
So that's kind of Google Classroom in a nutshell, in summary. The next thing I'd like to show you is Clever.
So, ahora le va a enseñar de Clever.
So if this is your first time logging your child into Clever, they have a couple options. They can use their Clever badge if they have that from the school, or they can just log in with their same email address and password that they use to log into the device.
Para entrar a Clever, si tiene su numeración, puede entrar en la numeración que recibió de la escuela, o si quiere, puede entrar con el email de Google.
And logging in with Google may be the easiest thing because as you can see, it's already saved my username and password from when I logged into the device. So all I have to do is just click on my name and it's going to automatically take me into my Clever portal.
So, pero a lo mejor con el Google es más fácil porque como ya está el nombre, so ahí prensa y se va directo al Clever.
So as you can see, there are a number of applications that are available to your child within Clever, depending on your student's age level, grade level, and the teacher's classroom. These applications may vary depending on what the student needs to use, but the teacher usually will do a really good job of explaining what application the child needs to go to and how to access it within Clever, or they'll even directly link that application in Google Classroom.
So aquí están las diferentes aplicaciones que les explica la maestra dónde pueden entrar. Cualquier de las aplicaciones, la maestra explica qué es lo que van a hacer, pero hay varias aplicaciones donde puede ver que pueden entrar sus hijos. Depende en qué les dice la maestra ese día por dónde entra.
And so those are the essentials of what a child needs to know how to access and use in order to access distance learning with the Cartwright School District. Beyond that, I do want to quickly show you the settings down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen.
So aquí va a enseñarle donde puede subir el volumen o el brillo. Va a enseñarle qué puede hacer con ese botón.
So when you click anywhere down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it's going to bring up this little screen or menu of options that are available to you.
So cuando prensa allí va a salir todas estas opciones cuando prensa ese botón.
Things like changing volume, changing your Wi-Fi network, changing your screen brightness, all of that is available there. But I think the most important option here that I want to show you is the shut off or power down button.
Sí, aquí puede subir el brillo si quiere, subir el volumen o cambiar el Wi-Fi. Pero es más importante ese botón ahí donde se puede pagar el dispositivo.
We strongly encourage that students shut down their devices at the end of the day and then turn them back on in the morning, in advance of instruction. A lot of times if there are issues with a device, it helps to shut it all the way down and then turn it back on, because then it will get any updates that it might need to improve its software.
So lo que recomienda él es que cada noche que lo pague para ver si hay actualización. Si la tienen que actualizar esa noche, so páguenla y luego ya antes de clase en la mañana que lo prenda para que ya esté listo para la mañana.
So that is the Chromebook in summary. So again, really that's all the student needs to know how to use in order to access distance learning. From there, the teacher will be able to provide instruction and support the student with whatever else they may need. But now I'm going to go ahead and transition back into the presentation to talk about a few more things before we finish up today.
So todo eso que le enseñó es la importancia cómo entrar al Chromebook y al Clever. Y ahora ya va a regresar la presentación.
Okay. So the next item I'd like to talk about is Parent View. And so Parent View is essentially a website or an application that is available to all of our parents and guardians in the school district that gives you access to a lot of different information about your student, including attendance, the school calendar, class schedules, grades, and messages that you can send to and from or receive from your teachers.
Ahora es la información de Parent View. Al iniciar la sesión en línea o usar la aplicación de Parent View en su teléfono, los padres pueden acceder a lo siguiente: información de asistencia, calendario escolar, horarios de clase, grados y también mensajes de maestros o maestra, o si usted tiene mensajes también lo puede mandar aquí.
So Nancy, I see that you have a question about Parent View. I will get to you in just a moment. I'm going to walk through some sample screens of what Parent View looks like and how you register for it in the first time. If I don't answer your question during that time, then I'll take it just after we finish with this section.
Nancy, ahorita que va a enseñar la muestración de Parent View y si no contesta la pregunta que tienes para Parent View, ahorita regresando para atrás, le contesta su pregunta.
So when you first log into Parent View, this is what you see. This is what's called the home screen, and it should show you all your different students that you have in the Cartwright School District.
So, aquí abriendo esta página, esta es la página general. Cuando abres Parent View, vas a ver si tiene un niño o dos niños. Aquí va a ver las fotos de sus hijos.
From here, you can click on either child to get more information about their records within Cartwright.
So, si quiere agarrar los records de cada niño, prensa el botón de la foto de su niño y ahí va a salir todo.
So as you can see, there's a lot of different options in Parent View for each child. The first up is the Synergy email program. So there's their own mail or email program built into Synergy that allows you to send and receive messages from your child's teacher.
So, lo primero es el email de Synergy. Ese es el email de nosotros del distrito Cartwright. Ahí es donde pueden mandar sus emails.
In addition to that, there's a section on attendance where you can check and see if your child has ever been marked absent and whether those absences were excused or unexcused.
Y aquí es donde puede ver si asistió o faltó su hijo. Si hablaron y si saben de todas las días que estuvo su niño.
In addition to that, if you have an older child in middle school or in older grades where maybe they see multiple teachers throughout the day, you can access your child's class schedule and see all the different teachers that your child has for every different content area. For example, science, social studies, ELA, and math.
Aquí es donde puedes ver el horario para los niños de secundaria, los que tienen varias clases para lectura, escritura, ciencia, estudios sociales, matemáticas. Aquí puede ver el horario de ellos.
And then, of course, probably what's most important, especially right now during progress report time, is the grade book. So when you click on the grade book, the first thing that's brought up is a screen that looks something like this that shows you every different subject or content area along with how many points that your child has accumulated and what their grade is in that content area. For example, proficient or highly proficient.
Aquí es un ejemplo donde puede ver los grados o si le falta una tarea y también los puntos y el grado que lleva su hijo.
If you click on this hyperlinked area here where it says QT1, you can even get more information about each of these content areas. So for example, if we were to click in this area right here underneath math, we would then get a page that looks like this that has more information about the specific assignments that your child was supposed to complete or maybe coming due soon for that content area.
Si pensara allí donde decía la K y la T y la I, ahí podía saber, por ejemplo, aquí este es de matemáticas, son todas las tareas que han hecho o los que vienen que necesitan hacer. Aquí va a haber todo en más descripción, aquí va a haber más detalle.
If you have never utilized Parent View before, I strongly recommend if you have a mobile phone, either an iPhone or some kind of iOS phone or a Google Android phone, I would recommend downloading the app, either from the App Store on iOS or from the Google Play Store for any Android phone.
Aquí es el acceso para Parent View. Los padres pueden acceder a Parent View descargando la aplicación para su teléfono móvil desde la tienda correspondiente. App Store es para el iPhone y luego Google Play si tiene un Android.
In addition to that, you can access the Parent View portal directly on any browser by simply typing in parent.cartwright.k12.az.us. For example, on your child's Chromebook, you could type that into the browser window and that would take you to the Parent View portal as well.
So, también puede entrar por esta página de internet y pone parent.cartwright.k12.az.us y ahí puede entrar con cualquier computadora que quiera.
And now, if you have never registered for Parent View before, if this is all brand new to you, you will have to get an access key or an activation key from your child's school. You can either go into your child's school and request one from the office. You can also have one emailed to you by calling your school, or you can even get it from the parent liaison that may reside at your school, as they can help you go through this process as well. That way you can get all set up and registered so you can access your child's information online.
Si tenga una cuenta, que si nunca ha configurado su cuenta de Parent View, deberá utilizar la clave de activación que se le envió por correo electrónico. También puede obtener esta clave en la escuela de su hijo o hija. Puede pedirle ayuda a las coordinadoras del padre de su escuela. Ellas también se los puede utilizar.
So Nancy, that finishes up our section on Parent View. If you still have your question about Parent View, go ahead and you can unmute yourself and ask it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the activation key, but you said that we could get it from the school's office?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
You can get it. Yeah, you can reach out to your school and they can either email you the activation key. You can pick it up directly from the school's office. The parent liaison at your school site can also support you with getting the activation key and logging in as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So there are a couple more things that I want to just briefly touch on as we start to wind down our presentation this morning. First is social and emotional learning. So we know that academics are essential during this time, and that's a big part of what we do in the Cartwright School District, of course. But we also know that the social and emotional health of your child is just as important. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting that aspect of your child as well, even during distance learning.
Además de lo académico, Cartwright también se preocupa por el bienestar social y emocional de su hijo o hija. Este año, cada escuela tendrá su propio consejero, el cual estará disponible para padres y estudiantes.
Yeah, so as Lydia just said, every single school has their own counselor that is available not only for the students, but also for the parents. This counselor can provide social and emotional instruction for all students during distance learning. They also provide opportunities for small group or individual support for those students who need it.
El consejero proporcionará instrucción social y emocional para todos los estudiantes durante el aprendizaje a distancia. También habrá oportunidades para grupos pequeños y apoyo individual para aquellos que lo necesitan.
And in addition to that, all of our teachers are also being provided with social and emotional training so that they can better support students in their classroom, even in this age of distance learning.
Y los maestros también reciben capacitación también social y emocional para que puedan apoyar mejor a los estudiantes.
And so I would encourage you, if you do believe that your child needs additional support with their social and emotional learning or their social and emotional growth, please reach out to your child's school and they can support you with setting up an appointment with the school's counselor.
Sí, le dijimos que si usted siente que su hijo necesita más apoyo en esto social y emocional, ayuda, puede hablar a la escuela y para que haga una cita con el consejero de su escuela.
I also want to briefly touch on the school meals program. Cartwright provides free breakfast and lunch for all students Monday through Friday of every school week.
So Cartwright proporciona desayuno y almuerzo gratis a todos los estudiantes.
These meals are available for pickup from any school location in our district from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m., as I said, Monday through Friday. However, please make sure that you do bring your child's full name, address, and name of their home school with you when you go to the site to pick it up, as we do have to make sure that the child is registered with the district.
Okay. Y las comidas están disponibles para que ser recogidas en todas las escuelas de 6 de la mañana hasta 2 de la tarde, de lunes a viernes. Los estudiantes deben estar inscritos en Cartwright, por lo que debe estar preparado para dar el nombre completo de su hijo o hija, la dirección y el nombre de la escuela a la que asiste su hijo o hija.
In addition to picking up meals at our sites, meals are also available for pickup from any of our bus stops if those are closer for you. They're available in the morning from 7 to 7:45 every morning. You can pick up from our bus stops and select apartment complexes as well.
So, también tendremos comidas disponibles para que los recoja en las paradas de autobús escolares de 7 a 7:45. También están disponibles en diferentes apartamentos. También puede recogerlos a esa hora.
We encourage you to check the Cartwright School District website at csd83.org or the Facebook page for more information about these services, as we're continuing to improve upon our school meal program. So for example, we're looking at rolling out delivery services in the upcoming future for select schools. So,
si vaya a la página de nosotros, es csd83.org. Y la página de Facebook de Cartwright siempre ponen información sobre el programa de comidas escolares. Están viendo también que a lo mejor va a haber un programa donde pueden llevar la comida a sus casas más adelante.
So the next piece to briefly talk about is how you can support your child at home. If you are at home with your child, and I know that's not always possible for all of our families, but if you are, there are certain things that you can do that can help with their distance learning.
Ya sabemos que muchos pueden estar con sus hijos durante este tiempo y algunos no pueden, pero aquí hay unas cosas donde puede ayudarles a sus niños en su casa.
So first of all, if possible, in your home environment, if you can provide your child with a quiet space where they can use their device and complete their work, that is of course beneficial, as is enforcing a consistent schedule of when the student is supposed to be working versus when they are allowed to play or do other activities.
Proporciona a los estudiantes un espacio tranquilo donde pueden usar su dispositivo y completar su trabajo. Haga cumplir un horario constante para su estudiante que mantenga el trabajo y el tiempo de juego por separado.
If you can keep an eye on what your student is doing, that certainly helps as well as encouraging your child to eat both breakfast and lunch.
Cuando sea posible, esté atento a lo que hace su estudiante. Anime a su hijo o hija a comer tanto el desayuno como el almuerzo, disponible en todas las escuelas.
And as we mentioned earlier, our teachers are expected to reach out to their families once a week. So we encourage you to stay in contact with your child's teacher. If you have questions or concerns about distance learning, to please communicate those with them, and then obviously be receptive to any of the information they may be providing you.
So, manténganse en contacto con el maestro de su hijo o hija si tienen preguntas o respuestas o preocupaciones. tengan contacto con su maestra o maestro para que les ayude.
And then finally, the last little bit is we know that technology is not perfect and there will be issues from time to time. So there are some steps, there are some things, some processes you can follow to get the tech support that you may need.
So, sabemos que hay veces que la tecnología no es perfecta y si necesita asistencia con su dispositivo o cualquier de los programas, puede seguir estos pasos.
So first up is, as I showed you earlier, is try and completely power down the device and then restart it to see if it needs to be updated. That usually is the first thing that we do and may be able to solve any of the issues you're having with the device.
Lo principio es apague completamente el dispositivo y luego reinícielo para que se necesita ser actualizado.
From there, I would encourage you to either reach out to your student's teacher or your child's school during working hours, as either of them may be able to support you with any kind of basic tech support that you need.
Comuníquese con el maestro o maestra de su hijo durante las horas de trabajo.
And then when all else fails, the Cartwright School District does have a help desk that is standing by during working hours to support you, and you can either email them at ithelpdesk@csd83.org, or you can call them at 623-691-4052.
Y si no puede en la escuela o la maestra, pónganse en contacto con el servicio de asistencia de Cartwright enviando un correo electrónico o al IT Help Desk al csd83.org o llamando al 623-691-4052.
So that concludes our parent training for today. I really do want to thank all of you who were able to join us this morning. We know how valuable your time is, but taking some time out of your day to learn about our distance learning program here certainly means a lot to us. So we do have some time still available, so we can open it up if you have any additional questions that you would like us to try and answer for you today.
Ya terminó nuestra presentación, pero si tienes una pregunta o una respuesta, le queremos dar las gracias por asistir en esta clase. Tenemos un poco de tiempo, so si tienen preguntas, puede preguntar, pagar el micrófono o aprender el micrófono o ponerlo en el chat, como usted quiera.